Hey guys, welcome to Read Through the Word, October the 24th, as we continue our journey through the Gospels. Today we, I meant to start with this warning. The days ahead in our reading will be difficult. It's getting more and more difficult. It is, and it should, for every believer, be difficult to read the account of the sacrifice that our Lord made for us. The crucifixion should never be a story that we can just sail right through without stopping to pause and be in awe of what Christ did for us on the cross. So I always just like to put that warning out there. There have been years where I couldn't read the reading. I would just skim it, and there have been years where I didn't read it at all. It was just too much for me. So I just like to throw that out there as we move into Holy Week and the events that happen. And one of the events is the clearing of the temple, and we have Mark and Matthew and Luke all giving their account of what happened with Jesus as he came into the temple. And I titled the lesson today, Conduct Unbecoming, and I realize that description is typically used in the military, also in the legal world, but it's attached to someone who has conducted themselves outside of the expectations and the responsibility according to their title or their rank. Now, I realize we're not dealing with military here. We're not dealing with legalese here. However, there is, for the Christian, an expectation of conduct. And I promise I'm going to tie all these things together. And I really loved the way that the Lord will have us look at today's lesson and the truth and the validity of what happened here and what it meant in that day, but also can just open up and shine a light to us on how this whole application, this whole lesson could be applied to our lives as the temple of Christ. So you've got 4 courts in the temple. You have the court of Gentiles, which is the outer court here where all of this chaos is happening. You have the court of women, tells you what that one is. The court of men, or the court of Israel, was also called the court of Israel. And then you also have the court of priests. Now this court of Gentiles is obviously where Gentiles go. And from what I read, it can accommodate 75,000 people. That's a lot of people. You also have to think this is the festival, the time of the festival. This is the Passover. So what you have here are thousands and thousands and thousands of people traveling to make their annual sacrifice. Now, I was thinking, as I was reading and studying and just listening to the Lord, about all the things that I had to, as a parent, Scott and I both had to, what we had to do to prepare for a long trip. What did we pack? What did we make sure we had to have with us that we could not get when we arrived at our destination? There were certain things that I, as mom, as wife, took care of, and then there were certain things that he, as dad and husband, took care of, but we prepared for a trip. And you have to think, these individuals that were coming to celebrate Passover and to commemorate, maybe even a better word, commemorate the Passover that occurred way back in Exodus. Oh my goodness, a long, long time ago. They were responsible for bringing their sacrifice with them. So you can only imagine how inconvenient it would be to bring that Passover lamb or the doves or the bull, the ram, whatever it is that you're bringing. It was not convenient. You know, you didn't have a little travel trailer that you could attach to your SUV or to your dually and put your animal sacrifices in it and truck along the desert. You couldn't do that. There was no such thing. So the individuals would come to this marketplace. So you can imagine the inconvenience they must have been experiencing and trying to get the sacrifice that they wanted to make all the way to Jerusalem. And then you can imagine the convenience of having a storefront there that would sell you a sacrifice. Now, there's a lot of things that can be said about convenience and inconvenience and worship and sacrifice. And I really thought that's where we were going to go today, but that's not where the Lord took us. The problem here was not necessarily the marketplace, the convenience of the marketplace. The problem was the robbery, the thievery of the marketers there. There was an exchange of Jewish money and Roman money, and they were charging exorbitant amounts of exchange fees. Then they would have livestock there, or pigeons or grain or whatever your offering might be. They would have it, but they would sell it at exorbitant prices. Price gouging is a great modern day term for that. When there are natural disasters and you go to, all of a sudden you go to the store and milk is $6 a gallon, $8 a gallon, when it doesn't have to be, that's price gouging. That's against the law. And it's obviously against God's law as well. He was concerned and angered by the marketers there taking advantage of those who had traveled to come and make their offering to God. So I'm not saying that I never saw in my research exactly where selling in the marketplace was wrong. It was their means or their motives behind what they were doing and how they price gouged those coming in to the courts. So it really surprised me where God was taking us with our lesson today, reminding us that this is Paul in his first letters to the church in Corinth, talking to them in chapter 3, verse 6, do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? Well, I believe the Lord wants us to really examine how we conduct our business. Now, you may be thinking, well, I'm not a business owner. I don't have a business. I don't sell anything. So this doesn't apply to me. It does. It does. Are we dealing? Are we conducting? Are we interacting in our relationships financially, spiritually, emotionally? Are we interacting fairly, equally, and honestly. And especially if we are business owners or company owners or managers within someone else's company. How do I conduct myself? Would the Lord come in and turn the tables upside down in the marketplace where I do business, quote unquote business? Would he come into a relationship that I'm in and turn the table upside down because I'm not honest? I have been treating people unequally, dealing with them unfairly. Does that table need to be turned in this temple? Am I behaving? Would my behavior be described as conduct unbecoming of that as a child of God? What is my attitude like out in the marketplace where I live? Do people that I know, or people that I'm around, are they aware that I'm a Christian and I won't cross that line? We have a local guy here, a local family that owns a couple businesses, and recently a friend of mine went up to one of the businesses to get his car inspected, and the person in front of my friend there to get the car inspected had a window tint that was illegal in our state. I don't know what the rules are in other states, but there's only a certain degree that you can have your windows tinted. And, you know, he kindly said to this customer, well, I'm not able to, I can do your inspection, but I can't pass you because of your window tint. To which the customer replied, well, I heard that I could pay you $20 extra and you would pass it. To which the local business owner said, I don't know where you heard that, but that's against the law. And my livelihood is not worth $20. You know, they'd shut me down kind of idea. But that's just an example of conduct becoming or either unbecoming of who we are as believers. So just a great place to pause today and look at these ancient stories, accounts of what happened in the temple, and just flipping that right back on us as being the temple of God, and asking ourselves these challenging questions. He is pretty good at his teaching, isn't he? Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you the next time we're together on Read Through the Word.